Sony. I don't know. To be honest with you, the Sony conference, I don't know. I don't really know what to say. I honestly don't know what to say about the Sony conference. To be honest with you, it put me to sleep. And that's not really a good thing. Fair and fine, my opinion stands for nothing, but I feel that Sony was outplayed by every other conference by miles. Fair and fine, they did announce some good things that are very interesting, and I'm potentially gonna talk to you about them now, but overall, the tone of the conference, the happenings of the conference were just very boring, and really Sony didn't have much. It's as if they were struggling to keep up with the rest, with how high the bar had been set by Ubisoft, how high the bar had been set by Bethesda and Microsoft. I dare say EA even had a better conference than Sony this year, and that's very, very sad. Sony, I'm not too sure. Maybe they're saving some of the big things for later, but they did announce a lot of things. But sadly, it wasn't as big as I hoped it would be. I guess my expectations were just not fulfilled, and I guess that happens from time to time. It's okay, I guess you build upon it and move on. Now, after they began their conference showing a montage of all the games to come and games available for the PlayStation 4 device, they finally showed The Last Guardian on PlayStation 4.
Sonic Boom!
After so many years. I believe The Last Guardian has been in development for almost 10 years, so long that it even skipped a whole console. It started out on the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 3 was born and died, and it's now the PlayStation 4 era, and we're still talking about when is The Last Guardian gonna be released. It's quite ridiculous if you ask me, after so many years. But I do have to say, after seeing the game, it was a bit boring. I know I'm being a bit too harsh, but at first I was really hyped. I was like, The Last Guardian, finally, so many years. Hopefully they're gonna give us some form of release date. Maybe they're gonna tell us what's happening with the game, but it was really boring. But I do have to admit that there was a lot of nostalgia. If you remember some of the Eco games back in, back in PlayStation 2. If you're talking about Shadow of the Colossus, my word, when you look at Last Guardian, you see the art style and you see the platforming and gameplay. It will bring waves and waves of nostalgia back to those games. In this particular game, you're a small child, and with the small child, you have this large pet, which is supposedly this last guardian that's helping you move around. It's your guardian, and it's a large dog slash bird slash rat slash whatever, you name it, slash cat. It's a big ass beast, and I guess the game revolves around the story of the small child and this guardian, this beast. And so far I can tell you that the art design is spectacular, and the gameplay and platforming sections are amazing, but I feel that with what they showed, it felt as if nothing much was really happening. That's the part that made me boring. It was like I was waiting for them. They built me up, and then I was waiting for the good part, and there was not really a good part to wait for. But I don't know, probably it's just the early impressions that have been there for the past 10 years. Maybe something will change, maybe it will finally be released. I don't know. It's an interesting concept, and I hope that the game will be good. There's no point in hoping that the game will be bad, because if a game is bad, that's one less game anyone will care about. And I don't know, I hope that good things could come of it. People really enjoyed Ico, people really enjoyed Shadow of the Colossus, but The Last Guardian isn't looking so great if you ask me. But I'm not too sure about that. I guess we'll just have to see with time, and hopefully we'll get some good news about that stuff. Guerrilla Games, the developers of Shellshock NAM 67, old game I used to like even though it was really, really bad. If you still have a PlayStation 2, I would advise you to play that game just for old time's sake. And they are the developers of the Killzone franchise, which has been quite popular on the PlayStation console for quite many years since the birth of Killzone 1. They have announced a new IP called Horizon. At first, I didn't know what Horizon was until I saw what they had to show at E3. It's a third-person adventure game, narrative adventure game with action and platforming, with some hunt and survival-esque elements from survival games. And I do have to say that there has been a rise in popularity of survival games, but I feel that zombies are now just too old. We've overused zombies, whether it be in film or whether it be in gaming. It's just way too outdated. And now with Horizon, there has actually some innovation. Not so much innovation as it's not really something new, but in this landscape there is this protagonist, this woman who's supposedly the hunter, and she's hunting these beasts and these dinosaurs. You're like, what? She's hunting dinosaurs? And I'm like, yeah, she's hunting dinosaurs, but not any normal dinosaurs. She's hunting robotic dinosaurs. It's a, how can I say? It's quite interesting because the people who are living in her time live in this future whereby it's so distorted and it's so pulled away from the past. They're trying to find out, they have all this technology, all this imagery of humans long past, and they're trying to understand what happened to the humans. How did the robots take over? The robots took over to such an extent that even they started evolving. Robot animals, robot people, robot dinosaurs, and now the surviving last strain of actual people are now living in this cave-like environment as scavengers, foragers, hunters, trying to survive, trying to get out of the eyes of the robots. And the concept is really amazing. The art style is good. The gameplay looks really good. I'm not too sure how it will pan out though, but robotic dinosaurs hunting, gathering, scavenging, running in fear, stealth elements, it's really looking good. I don't know if Guerrilla Games will pull through with this one, but the concept is really amazing. I hope it becomes quite interesting and is well received by people, because pitching that at a business meeting, saying that we feel like making a game with robotic dinosaurs, that might not be passed. And luckily enough, in this case, Guerrilla Games was given the green light to go ahead and develop this futuristic dino game, and it looks interesting. I hope to see more of it with time. Two short announcements. One that I don't like, but I've said this in previous videos, is that platform specific content that's locked to a specific platform or locked to a certain pre-order tactic or whatever, I just don't like that. But apparently if you buy the new Hitman game on PlayStation 4, there's an exclusivity beta, so only PlayStation 4 players get into this beta first and only, and there'll be 6 missions locked only to the PlayStation 4. I don't know, I don't like that at all, but I guess that's the world we live in now. People needs to make money. Birdie and Cammy will be returning to Street Fighter V. I'm really hyped for Street Fighter V, and I hope that they will make quite the showing. I won't talk about Street Fighter V in this particular video, but I really enjoy what I've seen so far, and I hope that it will only get better towards the later stages of development. Now, No Man's Sky pushing the envelope, I dare say kicking the envelope when it comes to procedurally generated content within a video game. The random number generator systems that have been placed in this game, I do have to say, are really amazing. Reason being is that the universe is massive. And when I say massive, I mean it's extremely massive. Now, that fair and fine may not be a feat that has never been done before, but the whole point of how it's all compiled into this one game, into your one system, into your one hard drive, into one disk, that's the part that I don't understand, how well the compression is. But anyway, For people who don't know what No Man's Sky is about, pretty much you're an explorer. It's a multiplayer game. You and millions of other players will be in this game exploring the universe that is No Man's Sky. And there are millions of stars, and each of these stars have solar systems which have planets, and each of the planets you can venture into and find different wildlife, animals, vistas, all in this game. All of this procedurally generated, and some things you'll never see unless you play the game for many years, going from planet to planet to planet to planet, trying to find new different solar systems. There's just a lot, and the more the generator works, the more content it will build upon itself, meaning that you might never see everything, and chances are you won't see everything. So now people potentially will be trading and fighting each other for different solar systems and planets and lands. Battles can go down to even as small as certain landscapes and certain planets could be fought for, traded for, people debating for political views. People can set up their own factions. People can just enjoy the galaxy that they've set up. And to be honest with you, it's looking very amazing. But the thing I don't understand though is it's for what cause. There has to be some context to this content. There's a lot of content, but I don't understand what the context of the game is. What am I playing for? Now that might be the question they'll answer with future information on the game, but I don't know, maybe I just skipped it. All I know is that it's multiplayer and we will be fighting or we will be exploring, and you know, there's vast universe, but for what? What's stopping me from just stopping at one planet and colonizing it and finding all the secrets that I can find and just enjoying my life there? What's pushing me to go further than that, besides my own intuition or maybe intrigue in other planets? I'm not too sure. But the nice thing is that when you set up your bases on certain planets, certain stars, people can invade you because, for example, there's a certain mineral or a certain animal that is only present within your solar system or your particular planet, and people can be fighting each other for as measly things as that. Amazing stuff. Warfare and exploration, politics on a universal scale. Procedurally generated. You'll never see the same thing twice. Or at least that's what they've led us to believe. And to be honest with you, it's looking to be an amazing game. But the problem with such big games is that it can be intimidating. Most people, I'm not too sure if people realize this, but most people don't like playing games that will never give them an end game. They'll never get a point of satisfaction which tapers off. I'm not too sure, but I feel that that's how most people are. Just imagine reading a story which will never end. Even your life has to end at some point. I'm not too sure, but I'm that kind of person. Some games that are just too big intimidate me, and I instantly just lose interest in them because of that. I enjoy development, and I enjoy an ending to this development, a conclusion, a result of some sort. But I don't know. I'm sure for the purposes of multiplayer, it's really gonna be good. Destiny fans, new DLC expansion coming out called Oryx the Taken King. Looks good. Like I said, I enjoy watching Destiny multiplayer. It's more maps, more strikes, more gear for Destiny players, maybe even a level or two, I'm not too sure. Taking multiplayer and adding on to some of the things that made multiplayer what it was, as it seems to me personally that multiplayer is the life of Destiny. I don't see Destiny thriving as just a single player game, and the fact that they're adding more context to the multiplayer strikes and missions and stuff that you can do with your friends, whether it be casually or competitively, this just gives the game more longevity. And like I said, I've seen people have fun with this game. I enjoy watching people play it. I'm just not into the game myself personally, but I'm sure Destiny players will be very amazed to see this stuff. Now something of a little bit of a debate. Kickstarter and pre-ordering. What's really the big difference? people have put such a bad label on pre-ordering games because they're like, oh, you don't know what the game's gonna be like, you're just giving the developers money, millions and millions of dollars, and then they can release shit. In the end, why are you pre-ordering? You lose nothing by just waiting and seeing if the game is actually good. Now if you pre-order and games come out bad, the developers will just keep on churning out more bad games because they know they'll still get money because people pre-order. That's the negative side of pre-ordering that people are highlighting, which I can agree on. It's true, it's possible, things like that do happen. There are positives to pre-ordering when it comes to development and funding the game, but there are also a lot of negatives. So now I can ask people, what's the difference between pre-ordering and Kickstarter? Because Kickstarter to me is exactly the same thing. Someone is coming to you in confidence that you'll trust them. Will you give us money before we even give you the game? That's Kickstarter, and you willingly, whether it's your choice. Do I do it or not? Just like pre-ordering, no one holds a gun to your head. You choose, should I pre-order or I shouldn't, and hope that the game is good. I hope that people really think about this and debate amongst yourselves, because I'm sure there are a lot of intelligent people out there who can come up with better reasoning than me. Think about it, talk about it. Kickstarter pre-ordering. There have even been stories of Kickstarter projects that have been started and people run away with the money, instantly run away. As soon as they say that we need, for example, a goal of 500,000 to fund this game, the goal is met, then people are waiting months, weeks, years, and the game is nowhere in sight and the developer is gone. So I don't know. I'm not too sure. Even in that regard, pre-ordering is safer because the game will come out. People are held to contracts, liabilities, and by the law in that regard. But with Kickstarter, same applies, but people have managed to run away from their commitments. And it's very scary. The reason why I talk about Kickstarter is that Shenmue 3 is being developed on Kickstarter for Sony, for the PlayStation. I haven't played the previous two games, but I decided to talk about it because of the fact that it's being funded by Kickstarter. And some people may wonder, why doesn't Sony just fund the game? Because they don't have to. You can fund the game for them and still buy the game and still give them more money. That's why. I don't know. I honestly don't know. And closing on a big bang, the Final Fantasy VII remake is finally coming to life. Years and years and years people have asked, please Square, make a Final Fantasy VII remake because we're just not interested in the other Final Fantasy games. Don't get me wrong, there have been other good Final Fantasy games after 7 that I've enjoyed and millions of people have, but one gem in people's eyes that people really want a remake of, a proper remake of, is Final Fantasy VII, and it's here. Other Final Fantasy other Final Fantasy games of past have been remade, but 7 has been one that has been wanted with red eyes by the community, and it's finally coming. But my one debate to it is that why would you announce the Final Fantasy VII remake when you're still building up hype for Final Fantasy 15. So now most people, they've divided their own market, because now most people who are hungry for a Final Fantasy 7 game, for example, let's just say I'm a fan of Final Fantasy, due to the fact that they'll never make another Final Fantasy, they'll never make a Final Fantasy 7 remake again or ever, I'm like, okay, let's just hope Final Fantasy 15 will be the gem of my eye, will do as good as Final Fantasy 7 did for me in the past. This gives you incentive to buy Final Fantasy 15. Now that they're like, oh wait, hold on, there's also Final Fantasy 7, yes, the game you've loved for years. Then you can ask yourself then, why should I buy Final Fantasy 15 if I'm getting the game that I actually want? I'm not too sure if that was really a good idea on Square's part and by Sony. I'm not too sure. But that was the Sony conference, and I hope you had a blast.